joining. This is Them Parts, and I'm Nicole. We have No Face, No Case in the house. What's up, No Face?
What up?
Hey, hi, Unique.
Hey, how you do?
So, today, you guys, we're gonna do a reaction to a reaction. So, the Oracle gave us a reaction to one of the videos that we did, where Eli was on, and he was kind of telling us what he was going through with his wife. And so we are going to watch some clips of the Oracle's reaction, and I'm going to ask for y'all's reaction to that. All right, here's the first clip.
Mm-mm.
Let me share my screen.
I think people in this community are still like, oh, I don't want to go to therapy, or I don't want to get coaching, or it's very like it's this discomfort of talking to a quote unquote stranger about your problems, and it's like, okay, yeah, like, and it's like, but you haven't been able, you understand, you haven't been able to resolve them yourself, right? If you need more money, you try to get a loan, you try to get a better job, you try, right? Like, you make an effort to do something. If your mental state is unhealthy, if you want to get on a, if you want to lose weight, you do what? You get on a diet, right? You try healthier foods, etc. So if your mental is problematic in some way, or just doesn't feel right, why wouldn't you do the same thing? I think people in this community are still like, oh, I don't.
Mm.
That's kind of generic, but that's part of. Bless you. That's part of what E said. Him and his wife are. He's suggesting therapy to his wife, and his wife is reluctant. What do you guys think about that? Therapy in the Black community overall.
I think it's definitely like I think she said like taboo. It's a little stigma there, you know, the whole stranger danger type thing. Not wanting people in your business. Um, yeah, it is definitely a stigma there, but it's not been a lot of advocacy for it, you know, lately
Yeah.
in the modern time as well. So
Right.
Them parts. That's why I don't fuck with it.
Well, explain.
I just think that I think that on the surface it's supposed to be something that's good for the
Hmm.
for whoever needs it and seeks it out.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of exploitation that comes with it. They want to put you. They want to give you diagnosis and put you on medication.
Hmm.
oh yeah.
They want to sell you drugs.
They
They want to.
want to keep you drugged. They want to keep you sedated. They want to keep you where you can't think, where you can't even function.
Like a zombie. Yeah.
They want to keep
Yeah,
you like a zombie. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not a fan of therapy. I'm sure it works for some people, but it seems like the people who really need it, it don't work for. The people who it work for can probably work that shit out themselves. But I'm not a big fan of it. But that was from the Oracle. We're
Yeah,
gonna
I
watch.
think that. I'm
Oh,
sorry. That
no,
you
go ahead.
just have to be real cautious about who and what and who you involve yourself in when it's covered by Medicaid. For instance, I'm always suspicious of it when
Okay,
they're giving it
explain that.
when they're
That means
giving it when they're giving you a service for free to underprivileged people,
hmm
and then there's like, it's a no brainer. Go ahead and do it, and we care about you. We want you to get better. It's always a trap, a nigga trap, if you will.
a nigga trap. We're supposed to do this.
Don't you think? I think a lot of people who have money get therapy and counseling and all these kind of things too. They
Yeah,
like
and they don't get it under those same programs, and they pay a lot of money for it, and they get good treatment, and they get honest diagnoses and
why are you trying to say
honest counseling.
honest because they have more money? Because the people are so now people are honest because they have more money.
Well, I would say I don't
No,
think
that's
you
not
need
what I'm
that.
saying.
I think he's saying they get better treatment, and plus, when you're getting the free services like through the government, these
Mhm.
people are mandated to tell on you. Number one, so you better watch what you say, and they can hold things against you. You know, they can put you on a 5150. You know, or
Yeah, and when you're paying good money for a service, that person is
they want
I'll
to
say
keep you like
obligated. They want to give you the best treatment they can because they can be replaced and won't. They're getting their money from directly from you. They're not serving a different agenda through the government funding. But I'm
You
not
mean
saying
it's
that.
an agenda as far as like class?
No, I'm saying we're giving free help. We're giving out free counseling for people who need it through through a Medicaid, Medi-Cal, whatever you're familiar with program. And these are the protocols. If they say this or that, we're going to put them on this and that.
you better take it.
Yeah. And do you only have resource? You can only go here, there, or there. You only have limited places to go, and they're all in um, cahoots with one another. You know.
But I think that part of that is just because I mean the people are poor, right? So they don't really have access to the same resources as a person who has money.
But it's not that okay. That's why they are providing the services. But because you are poor and because they are providing the services, you have these stipulations and regulations that if you step out of line, it could hurt you. When the government is paying for it, they want to make sure they're gonna be in your business to make sure things are like I said, the therapist is gonna be mandated. Like the schools are mandated. So like if your kid misses too much school and you're on welfare, then your check stops, right? Well, somebody who ain't on welfare, they ain't got that same threat.
Yeah. Well,
You
that's a
know,
lot of the reason why people don't take advantage of it. I mean, when you're
that's,
especially when you're poor
that's
too.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's one
Well,
of the
my main thing is I'm saying that
Being policed.
you the government's not providing these services for the best interest of the people. And if you adopt that, like that's my philosophy, and I applied that to all things.
okay.
That's where that would lead me every time. Like to I don't go to the dentist if they take if they take these services because I know I'm going to get inferior. Not always, of course, but I'm if I'm paying for the dentist, then I'm not going to want to go to the same place where people are getting it for free because the standard is much lower.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't want to go to the clinic, if you're paying for it, unless you that's all you could pay for. But I understand your point. But with that being said, if the service is not free or paid for, would you pay for therapy? How do you feel about therapy, whether you pay for it or not?
Yeah, if I really had a need for it, which I think everybody does, honestly.
Everybody needs
I'm not
help,
against.
support for sure.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not against therapy on the surface,
Okay.
Hmm.
but then you have options to you get to pick who you want to be, what type of what you want your psychologist to specialize in,
Hmm.
and you have the whole world. I mean, the whole community of counselors at your disposal as opposed to being pigeonholed into a few. So I think that you can, and if you don't like it, you can stop going, or you can choose a different option, and you're not pigeonholed into having a handful of options. And a lot of the counseling would be a lot of these counselors that are provided by the government
Hmm.
that people are using are court ordered counseling. So they're getting their business um, spoon fed to them. They don't have to do any marketing or anything, and the standard is much lower. They're
Well,
just going
yeah,
through the motions, you know.
yeah, I could see that if you're getting court ordered counseling. Um, I didn't know there was court ordered counseling, but I would imagine in certain cases maybe there
Yeah, like
would.
anger management classes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But rich
yeah.
people can have
domestic.
those things mandated to them as well. Like depending on like if they commit some sort of crime or something, they might have to have a court order to do that too. But I think like with poor people, like when like dealing with the county and stuff like that, like they even like even the therapists and the counselors and stuff like they be seeming like they got a damn mental problem themselves.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
crazy. It's like like a mental institution. Like everybody needs, it's like it's I've been there. I know. I've done it. And I was just like, oh my god, everybody in here is crazy.
Yeah, a lot of them do. I mean, there's a high suicide rate for psychologists because of the
Yeah.
nature of their profession.
A high suicide rate. I would think if they were actually helping people, they wouldn't want to kill themselves. They was
I
doing their
think
job.
I think it's because they hear about all type of crazy shit all the time. But maybe I didn't. I never thought too deep into it. But that was my initial thought, like the common sense thing. But it could be, it could be something. Yeah, it could be something deeper.
I mean, because you would think that police, they see the things that the psychiatrists are hearing about. So if there's going to be a high suicide rate, it should be policemen who are actually seeing it. But I'm thinking the psychologists failed. They failed at their job and they failed at life. And so they checked out.
Yeah, police be on some crazy shit too. They live a kind of a chaotic life and have a chaotic profession. But the domestic violence rates in police households are crazy.
Mm, that, yeah, I heard about that. Why do you think
So
that is? Do you think they're just innately violent people? Or
I'm
is
not
the
sure.
job
Our
I think
society
the,
is violent.
Yeah, our society is violent. Yeah, hell yeah. But why are cops prone to domestic violence? That's a good point that you brought up, No Face.
probably because they get away with a lot of shit, and they're used to having a lot of authority. And then they go to
Mm.
the crib and don't. Maybe or they are like a little bit crazy. Like cops are kind of wild. Some of them are.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
agree.
they got an authority kick. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
they
They
got
need that.
they're controlling. They have they have a superiority complex and a
And an inferiority complex.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, that's the opposite. It was well,
I
they
know.
feel
It still applies. I know it's the opposite.
yeah, like you're saying an inferiority complex, and they're compensating with projecting a superiority complex.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like
You
that.
got it.
Them parts.
Sharp. You sharp. Them parts. All right, let's go to the next clip. Let me share.
If you're in an abusive situation and you have to, you absolutely should. Like, no, we've seen way too many crime stories about men and women both being abused to the point of death, right? In these situations, so that's nothing to play with. So absolutely call. What I'm saying is, when you are vindictively calling, you don't really have a rhyme or reason. Ain't nobody hurt, like, and you just trying to pop your shit to just be on some bullshit and put a nigga or a bitch in jail for a minute just because you can. That's not okay. That is what I'm talking about, is a character flaw. If you're in an abusive situation and you have
Mm.
The Oracle speaks.
Uh-oh.
The Oracle speaks. I'm gonna let you take the wheel on that, No Face.
Well, what's the context? I wasn't. I didn't.
Well, yeah, because I was throwing questions at her and my voice wasn't captured in the video. But I mean, from that response, you should be able to get some sort of context that
Yeah, she was
people
saying she was saying the boy who cried wolf type thing, right?
calling the police. I mean, the whole thing is when you're in a relationship and you start calling the police on your mates. I mean, it's out of unless you really in danger. And a
Yeah,
lot of these stories we hearing and discussing, there is no real threat or fear. It's just I'm calling the police because I can. That was
yeah, that definitely happens a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
Especially with young people. Like we are talking about with the situation with Eve. They'll start to realize that that's not the move.
yeah.
But
But when will they start to realize it? Because it seems to be getting more common now. and the more people
I
see
think
it
I think
done,
everybody
the
calls the
more they're
police.
gonna do it. What's that, Nick?
I think everybody calls the police.
What do you mean? I mean, in a relationship, on your mate.
Yeah, I'm just saying that they
I
don't
don't
have
think
to be
I've
young.
ever. Yeah, I've called the police one time.
No, but I'm just saying that it's just as common for mature adults to call the police as it is like I would say with young people.
Well, I
Maybe.
think when it's necessary, when it's absolutely necessary. But
Well, I know some older people
You're
that
saying
do.
young people abuse it more.
No, I see. I know some older people that abuse it too. Literally, are calling the
Yeah, that's what.
police,
Yeah,
just mad and calling the police. So it's not just the young thing. I know some older people doing that shit too. But I think it is more prone in the younger generation, just because they're seeing it done a lot more now. You know, um,
yeah, and then they don't understand how like
dangerous it could really be.
yeah, and how the courts work and how unfair it is, and how it like really messes up your relationship too. Like,
They don't think that through.
but if you're calling the police, your relationship should be in a bad spot. But yeah, one thing I don't have a lot of experience with details about these certain things happen. And a lot of people, if you're not close to kin with people, they don't really talk to you about that kind of stuff.
Man, even your close kin don't talk to you about that kind of stuff. You're just looking from the outside. So we're all looking from the outside in, you know? So
Yeah,
as close as I am with my brothers, and I don't really know what go on in their relationships. I see them with somebody and then they not with somebody. That's all I see. It ain't like they come telling me, oh, this bitch be doing this and she be doing that. I don't know what's going on. So
yeah,
we all on the outside looking in, because a lot of people don't really tell you what's going on in their household until, when they're angry, they're telling their side. And then when it's over, you know, maybe they're telling it then. But a lot of times we just don't know what's really happening.
yeah. And for me too, personally, it's easier for me as no face because I don't have a face. But I don't talk to
why
people.
don't
There's
you
a
like
stigma.
showing your face? No face.
What's up?
Why don't you like showing your face?
I think it's just for the best. But there's multiple reasons though. Because one of them is because I don't want to be on camera. It's because I don't like being on camera. But then I be talking crazy shit. You know what I mean? So
We
I
all do.
don't.
You
So that's a
don't even watch his videos back, and you
no.
you don't even watch them back. But no, you do hella good. But I always watch the videos back, and I just be cringing at myself like the whole time. But
Yeah, like I think we're all self conscious. I think I'm more self conscious than the average though.
and really, are you?
I think so.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I don't know how other everybody reacts to seeing
I'm
themselves.
hella
But
self conscious, and I just was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna turn the camera on and I'm gonna talk," because I have to get over
Or you
certain.
think like you're? It's like you think of like a form like you're hiding. Like you think you're hiding.
yeah,
He's
I feel
anonymous
like I
right now.
feel safer. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You feel like people are gonna attack you if they see your face.
No.
No, it's not that. No, it's not that. But I don't want to go into. Yeah, I said what I said. I don't want to give in any more.
Okay.
Yeah, but no face is really it's really a character. It's not exact. It's not me. So I don't want to be associated with no face.
You don't want to be associated with no face, but that is who you are.
But it's not though.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Who is it then?
Well, you don't get a lot of things unique. It's okay.
You have an alter
It's
ego?
okay.
Where are
Yeah,
you
it's
have multiple personalities or what?
something like that. You can say that.
Okay.
However you want to take it, unique. I mean, it's however you want to take it.
I mean, I was just asking.
I feel like I'm in therapy right now. Holy shit! I'm on Unique's couch right now. We could talk about it more off air though.
Okay. I was just talking about it.
struggle with the nowadays, right? That, and I know that we had when we were all on the phone on
Basically, I asked her, are people different nowadays than they were before?
All my
So
little dishes.
that's what she's responding.
Man.
on the podcast a couple of episodes ago. I kind of alluded to that because I just don't subscribe to it. I don't believe things are different. In the sense, like, yes, things are different, and yes, people are different. Could people be more violent in today's climate post COVID? Potentially, yes. Right. We know suicide rates increased during that time, and has continued for several different populations, both teenage and then the above. I want to say it's above 45, and that was predominantly male based. I don't know what the statistics are now, but I know that that's happened, and it continued to increase. So is that potentially a factor as it relates to being more violent? I don't think. I don't. Okay, if I guess the measuring stick for me is I don't think people generally, like, if violence has gone up, I guess what I'm trying to say, if violence has gone up in the last 10, 20 years, then I don't think that there is a distribution of men or women being more or less violent. I think if violence increased, I think it just increased across the board. I do agree 100% with No Face that there are women who are just violent, just out of gas and toxic and narcissistic, and just want to show power and muscle and do something you know terrible against their partner. I think that is just that is something that has happened probably since the beginning of time, right? uh, so I don't think that, and I don't think it's women more than men, and I think there's a lack of accountability. Now, can those same people choose to change? Yes, but in order to choose to change, you have to believe you're wrong. And I think that's also the problem, right?
She said you was right in that one. I agree with No Face. Did you hear that?
Yeah, but then I just heard her disagreeing with me though.
Right
Uh,
after that, where was the disagreement?
I don't know. I'm not
See
100%
how
clear.
people are? They only get to the bad parts.
No, no, no. I just think that it's crazy. Like, I think that she's insinuating that men need to take more accountability, which I think is absolutely insane.
I
Like,
don't think
this
she was
is,
insinuating that. I don't.
yeah, like, so I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
But if we talk about accountability, I think men are way more apt to take accountability. It's not a big deal for us because we never was made to be
Never
perfect.
wrong. You're never wrong. So, of course, it's no big deal to take accountability.
No, that's not no. If you can't, if you were, we take accountability and apologize, and you know that we have to be wrong to in order to take accountability.
Yeah, I don't
It's
think
the
she was
women.
talking about you guys though. When she said that, she was talking about women.
I would hope
I
so.
believe when she said you have to know you're wrong to take accountability, I think she was talking about women. But I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
then the
She
Yeah,
part.
may be telling the
acknowledge
truth.
that women have become. I mean, I think in a certain sense that women have become more violent now in the modern day than they have been in the past.
Yeah, that was kind of the question I posed to the oracle, and she was saying she doesn't see it as women are as more violence. Maybe the violence has increased, but she thinks that through the years, through history, that we as people just have been violent overall.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that. I think that people are becoming more docile collectively, but
Mm,
I think that the women definitely have been more violent towards their men
hmm
as time goes on because men don't have any protection and men aren't really seen as real people with like
Or as
just with
needing
What
help.
do you mean? What do
We
you
see
mean
you guys
docile?
as real people. We don't see you as needing help. Okay, there's a difference, and I
I mean
agree.
okay so
I agree
maybe it's a
that
little
women have been more violent. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, we would have protection. Maybe I would. Maybe it was being a little bit dramatic when I said as real people. But our
That's how you
feelings and our feelings and our safety are undermined
yeah.
By who? By who?
disproportionately.
By women?
But yeah, by women. And then to say that we don't need help, clearly we do need help.
When you
Clearly.
say become more docile, because I think because or you were alluding to like because docile seems like more like that's like more toward men. You saying men have become more docile?
No, I'm just saying the society as a whole, especially post COVID, people are more homebodied. People are not outside as much, you know.
That doesn't mean that you're not a violent person just because you stay at home or
Well, I'm just saying. I think overall, I think we're more chilled and less aggressive overall. A lot of people are on medication. We alluded to that earlier. I don't
Hmm.
think that people are more violent now. I think if anything, people are less violent. But when it comes to
that's
domestic,
a lot of those school shooters and they be on all kind of medication.
I don't believe in this school shooter shit. Why are you
You
trying to
don't
pick
think
apart everything? Help me out, nigga. Why is she doing this to me? Leave me
What am
alone,
I
man.
doing? Well, how am I doing something to you? I'm talking about what's going
he
on in
said, "Leave me
society.
alone, you need."
Is
Fuck.
this so funny?
Holy shit. This is what I'm saying. Like,
You
fuck.
need
I'm
to
just here trying to make a
get right
point.
now. Lay off
She's
on
trying to
him.
fucking poke holes in everything I'm saying. Like,
I'm just
relax.
asking. I'm just trying to engage you in conversation.
But my
Oh
point is,
God,
I think
he's getting annoyed
women
with
are
questions.
being. If you think about back in the day, women weren't. Well, let's say we'll go back when women didn't have rights, so to speak. I don't
Okay.
even believe that. But they definitely weren't running up and trying to punk and bully their men because they'll get snatched up real quick and it'll be all bad real quick. You know.
You want us to go back to those days where you just be able to talk and the women just sit there and be quiet?
Hell yeah.
Well,
What a world that would have been.
you know that ain't
Back
happening.
when back when families stayed together and you know, yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah, because the idea that men were just when men were in power before the matriarchy took over, that men were just abusing their women. I
I
think
don't
that
think
that's
that men,
crazy.
you know right that men are stronger than women. If all the men in right now decided to get together and say we cutting all of y'all women's rights off, period.
You
You don't
need.
think that they could all do that?
Why are you even posing that? You fucking us
I
up here.
mean, we don't make the laws. The common, you know, this the people don't make the laws. The laws are made from other people that actually do that don't have to abide by the same laws that they write. So if all the men got together, I made a suggestion or an implication of men just not fucking with women for a while until they get their shit together.
There's a movement. You didn't come up with that. It's called men going their own way. And I think white
Yeah, I'm
men started
familiar.
that movement. That's a
Yeah,
you joined it?
no, I joined it. Yeah, I got my
Are
badge
you
and
a part of
no. I mean, no. I mean, I'm not a part of men going. No, I'm not a part of that movement. I guess you could say though, if it's like, you know,
that? It sounds
but
like you're
no,
part of that
whoever those
movement,
people are, I don't know. I don't know those people, so no, I'm not a part of their movement.
but you believe in the men going their own way.
I think that if we collectively all did that, then we could. That's how we can affect change. But that's not happening, and that's not necessarily the right way. I don't think that's gonna. I don't think that would work either. It would work, but
What was the suggestion? All do what?
I was saying that I was just making a suggestion about um men, all men saying that they're not monogamous and not being held to that standard. Therefore, that way that they can't have it used against them later. You know,
Yeah, yeah, I remember
even if it's not true.
that. Right, right. Yeah, I remember that.
But that was kind
This is
of.
just
Oh, I
unique
wasn't
suggestion.
completely serious about it.
I
I was
respect.
just speculating, hypothetical. Like if this happened, this could happen. You know, because what are they gonna do? What are women gonna do? They're gonna have to just they're gonna have to
Accept
get on board, or they're gonna have to start fucking with Asians and white guys, and I don't think they want to do that.
or do what they're doing now, fucking with other women. You know what I'm saying?
Or doing that. That's crazy.
Doing
Yeah.
that.
I mean, is the punishment is not fair to anybody. That's not gonna solve the problem. That's
It's
not gonna solve
punishing yourself.
It'll take some time, but
it.
it
You guys
will. I think
got
it
to
will.
start messing with each other. It's ugly.
No, that's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna take some time. It's just gonna create a unprocreated society. And a bunch
No, I'm saying because what would happen?
of men and a bunch of women. I don't know what the women
Well,
do.
it's not like all women are engaging in that behavior either.
Right.
So there'll
That's
still be
true. And
women
I
that'll
mean,
be available,
there's no
and the
choice.
ones that do, they won't get no play, and then they'll have to change their ways in order to get back in the game.
But I mean that the suggestion sucks. It's stupid, I say, because women can, say the same thing. We not fucking no man unless he stays faithful to me. And if all women agree to that, then men would have no choice. You know what I'm saying? That's why
I think that's what happened.
that's far from what happened. There wouldn't be such a thing as side chicks. There wouldn't be side babies. There wouldn't be none of that if that happened. So that didn't happen.
Well, that's breaking the rules, but of course the rules will be broken. But
We breaking the
it's
rules.
still
It didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? The point of the thing is if everybody agrees to the same thing. Every woman agrees to not fucking with him unless he's faithful to only you. Then
yeah,
nobody
and
can.
that's what the agreement is, and that's why a lot of men are
That's
getting in
not what
trouble.
the agreement is. But that brings me to a point that you said um the men rule the world, but the the matriarchy took over. So the men
I
have
didn't say
to let
those words,
the matriarchy take over.
No face, you are so funny.
What do you
but
say?
But every time you said no face, he said something. He said, I didn't say that.
well, I didn't say those words. I didn't put it that way.
I'm sorry, I couldn't remember your exact words, but was I
Me neither. Me neither. That's the thing.
just right? You just want to disagree, but you did say,
No, no. I just know it wasn't bad.
well, you
But
didn't.
the men
Okay,
rule.
explain what you meant. Maybe I misunderstood it.
When I mentioned a matriarchy, it was kind of a. It was. I, I can't remember. I just said
I'm
that for the first
wondering
time.
how the matriarchy took over from the men, you know. But that's
I'm sorry.
that's not for you to answer.
What's your question? I'm sorry.
That's never mind because I don't think you can answer it. So we'll go to the next.
Oh, okay. Now, okay.
No,
Now,
I'm not being a
now you're.
smart ass. It's really a hypothetical question. That's what I mean. You can't
No,
answer it
you're.
because it's hypothetical.
No, you're digging at my ego now. Like I'm gonna prove to you now that I can
I'm
answer your
sorry.
question. Ask it. Ask the
You did
question.
more
No,
than
okay.
answer
No, we,
my
we can
question.
move
You
on. We'll
probably
move on. It's fine.
read my mind and answer my question. I just mean that my question wasn't well thought out. That's all right. Let's watch the next.
And when I hear no face, I just hear him trying to say, but can you guys acknowledge the pain that men go through because of the of women being abusive? You know what I mean? And so it's like, yeah, both of you, yes, yes, both things are true. That's the thing. The dichotomy here is like both things can be true at the same time. Neither thing is mutually exclusive. And when I hear
So, that was a reference to me saying to E that him and his wife were gonna work it out because they wanted to, and No Face was like, no, so that was the Oracle responding to that, saying, okay, Nicole, you're saying there's love there, they could work it out, but No Face is saying it's a done deal. Get out while you're ahead or while you can.
That's not true. That's not what I was saying.
Well, maybe okay. She didn't use
Well,
those words. She didn't
I
use
didn't
those
clarify it.
words. You were
I didn't
saying
clarify it at the time.
over.
What I took exception with is that you were undermining all the relationships that didn't work out and saying, well, yours is going to work out because you wanted to work out.
Oh,
And so it's like everybody's that didn't, it was because they didn't want it to work out.
well, no,
Specifically,
no,
specifically,
that's actually not the point. The point is you are saying that it's not going to work out because all the other ones didn't work out, and I'm telling E that Fuck all the other ones. You make your shit work. You worry about your family. That's what I was saying.
But what you said was it's going to work out
Yeah.
because you want it to work out and you care. So I know it's going to work out.
Well,
And
what am I
I'm
supposed to say when he wants his family to work out? What am I supposed to say?
I don't know. Maybe don't lie to the kid.
I didn't lie
But
to him.
I know you weren't lying to him. But you're telling him you're
The
because he
opposite of
really
what
want.
you're telling him. So you think I'm wrong because I'm telling them the opposite of what you're telling them. When
I
what you
think
tell
that
him, he
I think
doesn't.
that it's misleading because he wants it to work out. So when he hears something like that, it's going to encourage him to keep on doing what he's doing. And and I don't think he should keep doing what he's doing because
Well, I
he's
didn't
just
say
going to
that.
Do you think that wanting something is enough? Because I can say I
no.
want $1 million.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
wanting something is
And I know
not enough.
you didn't consciously say that, but it did, if you think about it, undermine all the relationships that failed because it was an insinuation that other men didn't care enough and didn't want it to work out, therefore it didn't work out.
No, no. I apologize, man. That's not what I meant.
No, I know that's not what you meant too.
Well,
But,
that's not
you
what I
know,
that's not what I meant to insinuate. I said it was going to work out because he wants it to work out because he said he wants it to work out. Not that that is the reason it will work out. He's trying. And I'm just trying to give him positive encouragement. Now, I'm not talking to the female. If I was talking to her, who is the problem, I would say something different, right? Because she needs some education, some training, a whooping, a hug, or something, right? But he is doing the best that he can, and he needs encouragement with what he's going through right now. Somebody needs to grab onto his wife and encourage her to do way better. But I wasn't trying to say that it's gonna work out just because you wanted to and just because there's love. That shit don't work a lot of time. But also in the same breath, just because the other relationships didn't work doesn't mean his won't. I was also saying that.
yeah. But some relationships do work, but not the ones that look like his. I've never seen it.
What's E's support
It's
system look
gone too
like?
far. It possibly have gone too far. I mean, we talked a little bit before off camera before the show. So something that you told me today makes me think they're both trying to work it out. It's just she is young and lost, and nobody's telling her the right shit.
Yeah, because nobody can tell her nothing.
It don't sound like anybody's trying either.
That's why I
He
was saying
said
like
she got
what support
sisters,
system look
and
like.
they telling her all the wrong shit. Her dad's in jail, her mom's dead. So who is telling her the right thing? It don't sound like anybody. That's the thing.
Well, who does E have? Like who's in E's corner?
Him.
He
No
don't,
face.
he don't
No
got
face is related to him. So he got a grandma. He got uncles. He got
oh, they're related. Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
yeah. He got people
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that
he's
he
got a
go
mom
to.
Well, what
too.
these
He
people
got a
say?
mom.
Is there a consistent consensus in the what's being told to E, or is everybody kind of saying something different?
They're probably all telling him the same thing that
Yeah, similar things.
he needs to get up out of that situation or deal with it the best way he can. But nobody's telling her the right thing. They're probably not telling her anything. She don't know. From what she said in court today, she don't know hardly anything. So I don't know. I was just trying to encourage the dude, but
No, I know, I understand. It wasn't there wasn't malice and deception
I know that
in your
in those type
intentions,
of
but
situations, um, it is very important that you have certain things put in play. That I want to, that wishing and hoping upon a star stuff, that's not
put
going to
what
work.
in place? School us.
No, I'm saying like when you want a toxic situation to work out, just you wanting it to work out, um, is not like you have to because it's a very serious situation. So you have to really put a lot of different things into play. um, you know, Precautionary things. If something happens, this is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do. You have to have certain things put in play. You have to have like
That sounds like
backup.
a fire escape plan. Like if there's
Well,
fire in
sometimes I mean, sometimes it is. Sometimes it is a fire plan.
That's what I'm on with him. Like, yeah, you can keep trying all you want to, but while you're trying,
the be careful.
yeah,
He should definitely
make
be
sure.
careful because she calls the police on him. That's already going too far. Now he's got a restraining order. He can't even go home. His shit is fucked up. It shouldn't have went this far. Somebody should have been straightening this shit out before it went this far. But I mean, I get it. They're young. Y'all probably tried and said what you said, and they weren't trying to hear it.
Right, right, and it makes you. It just makes you have. It just puts more distance in between him and myself, for
Mm,
instance. Because if I when I start talking this type of shit, he don't want to hear it, so he's gonna distance himself from me,
Until he
and then
gets
it doesn't until he gets into some hot shit, and then he's going, he's going, yeah. So he
and then
knows
he's
when
gonna
he,
reach out to
yeah.
yeah.
you. And then what?
And then like when it comes to her, like I can't say shit to her because she don't listen. And when you make a person feel uncomfortable that's used to that, she's I know she's young, but she's not a baby. She's
Yeah,
has
I know.
her ways already. So if
Like
I
what?
start making her feel uncomfortable, it's gonna end up putting she's gonna end up punishing him for that. What are you out here saying to people? Why are you making me look bad? And
I know
it's
what
not like she's gonna take it at face value.
right. I know what you're saying. You don't want to get in it, and I don't mean making her uncomfortable, but I mean there's certain things that gotta be said to her for her to
Yeah,
understand.
but you can't say these things without making her uncomfortable. And when she's been taught that her feelings trump everything, you make her feel uncomfortable, then she'll just lash out. She'll shut down. Well, I don't know how she would react to me, but I
Mm-hmm.
know that it would cause more problems for him on the back end. So
Do you
I
think that
wouldn't
she's trying to
even.
control him?
Oh my goodness, have you been
Nick.
paying attention this whole time? Like, welcome to the topic. Holy shit, man! What?
All right, let's go to the next because I don't want to get that on other people's problems too much. So let's go to the next bullet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you look at the Egyptian history and just their technology, they are like, they're almost, I look at them as like aliens, like in the best way possible, because and we're descendants of them, right? Like, and I say that because they were so far advanced, in technology. And I mean, there are people who go travel to Egypt now, and these phenomenal things happen inside the pyramids. You know what I mean? Like cleansing your spirit, and there's some sort of parent a friend of mine, he went to one of the Egyptian pyramids, and they have like a mini pyramid, and they drop like a rusted and dull knife in the pyramid, and then pulled it out, and it was like resharpened, just because of whatever was in this particular pyramid. I don't know all the details, but I'm saying, if you and research can back this up, right? Like, I'm not just, I mean, it's people could argue, oh, he was lying, but this is like, historically, we know this about the Egyptians, and we know that you can travel there and see some phenomenal things even in today's environment. If you look
So just to change the topic a little bit because these
Let's
relationships,
lighten it up a bit.
oh my goodness, ah, feel like I'm going through a divorce. Yeah, this is kind of along your lines. No face, you be into this type of the aliens and the you give me your take on what she just said.
Oh, you were talking about. I can't remember what the context was, but she was talking about Egypt and like the dope shit that they had going on back in the day.
How they were more advanced back in the day. How they were probably from another planet, really. How they had knowledge and power that we don't hold today.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
sure what you want me to touch on. This a lot of shit. It's a lot of shit with that.
So you don't want to touch
But
on
no,
it?
yeah. Well,
Should
I'll
we?
say that Egypt is in Africa. A lot of people like I don't Egypt is in Africa.
People don't
So
know that sometimes. Yeah.
yeah, no, North Africa.
So
Um,
black people. We talking about black people when we talking about Egypt.
yeah, yeah, we're talking about black people.
Yeah.
That's a and I guess what the relevance is that we descend from these entities that were once the rulers of the world, you know, and we degenerated into being who in the position that we are now. So I think that one thing that I, on the base level, try to encourage people is to look into that and see and have a little bit of pride of who you are and where you come from, and that you weren't just descendants of a slave, you know.
And that's the truth.
But
You
yeah,
know,
there's so many layers to that too.
do you know we have pyramids right here in California?
Yeah, throughout Turtle Island. It was when I say
Turtle
Turtle Island,
Island.
I mean North America,
Why'd
because
you call
it's a
it
big.
Turtle Island?
Well, that was the original name for where we lived before we were colonized and divided into these small parts into three countries, and then all the states that's within the countries.
Mm,
It was just an island. It was called Turtle Island because it's shaped like a turtle a little bit if you look at it.
mm,
Um, but yeah, there was a big connection between the cosmos, Egypt. Well, cosmos is like the stars and how the stars aligned with the pyramids, and then there was the same alignment that happened um, throughout North America, Turtle Island. And somehow they, for some reason, not for some reason, somehow, but they don't talk about that. You know, there's still pyramids here.
yep,
There's pyramids in Arizona. There's pyramids in California. There's
yep,
pyramids in Mexico. There's pyramids in Central America. Oh no, that Mexico. I think that's where the Alamex were. I could be wrong. It could be more. It could be more south into Central America. I'm not sure,
okay.
but yeah, there's a lot of untold esoteric meaning hidden information about our ancestry that we ought to be a little bit more hip to, and to see that first, that it is a thing, and then why it's been suppressed. The information has been suppressed.
Mm, yep,
I'm trying to figure out who the fuck we really are,
right. Because we don't know.
because yeah we've been led astray. We've been keeping that information has been hidden from us to as a part of our enslavement, to erase the history so you don't know where you come from and you don't know what you're capable of, you don't know who you are, you don't have an identity, then you're easier to control. It's easier to convince you that you're inferior.
That's a great, great point. That reminds me of this. It's actually a cartoon my cousin told me about, and it's what's the Marvel comics? What's those? It's like the Justice League, Spider Man, Batman, Superman, all of them, right?
Yeah.
So they needed they needed to fight the good guys needed to fight a bunch of villains, and they needed Superman. And in the Marvel comics, there's different worlds. There's World One, World Two, whatever. They go to find Superman. In the world that they find him in, he's in the hospital. He's sick. He's under this blue light all the time. He can't. He's frail. He can't move. He can't fly. He can't do nothing. He don't even know who he is. And they're trying to tell him like, "Oh my God, you are Superman. You're stronger. You're the strongest man in the world. The fastest. You could fly. We need you. We need you to fight these people." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" Like, he's sick. He's in the bed because when he came to Earth, the government found him, not the Clarks or the Kents. The government found him, and they kept him just like they keep us. Okay, they keep us sedated. They keep us uh not thinking, no critical thinking, no nothing. And it was after they took him out of there that he realized he got mad and he started flying. He didn't know he could fly. Then he could run hella fast. He could do everything that they said, but before that, he couldn't do nothing.
Yeah, they isolated him and they think what you're
control
saying is they, yeah, and
didn't
they
tell him
suppressed
his
their, they,
power.
yeah. So he didn't know who he was, therefore he wasn't shit
Right.
until he
Didn't
remembered who he was, and then he was Superman again. That's a
right.
great, that's a great analogy.
Yeah, that's what happens to us.
Yeah,
All right.
because we are Supermen and women, you know.
Mhm, 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 mhm. All right, let's go to the next clip.
Why people don't care that your jobs are getting taken away by technology, because you can't service people anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's not surprising, and that's unfortunate that that is the experience that you get. But this is what I mean when I say it's not on your FYP, because there are people I've been interviewing recently at my job, and there's a lot of people like it's very specific of the demographic they're trying to capture, right? To keep dumb. And those people are allowing themselves to be put in that position to be so. Whereas, and I say that because the demographic of people that I'm interviewing are different. They're different kind of people. They have different kind of backgrounds, and they're eager to think. Not just learn. Learning, you want to learn too, but they're either eager to think, grow their minds, learn. And if you don't stay hungry for the ability to think and learn, no matter what age you're at, you're gonna become extinct. Why people don't care.
She said you're gonna become extinct. Gina. The Oracle speaks. What y'all think about that?
Well, I wish he would have. I wish he would have been more specific. I think she was talking about black people, right?
She was.
Yeah.
She wasn't specific about the demographic that she's interviewing right now, but they're not black people. And what she's saying
Oh,
is that black people is going to be left behind because we don't think. We take whatever information is given to us, we don't break it down, we don't shake it up and see what it really is. We just take it and go on along with it. And other races are thinking and using their critical thinking and getting ahead while we just, I don't know, we being shuttled like cattle and sheep.
yeah. We were taught to think. You know, we were taught to obey. We weren't taught to think.
True that.
So I always push back against when I always push back against the narrative that it's or even the insinuation that it's a intrinsic thing that one group of people have and another doesn't have, when without acknowledging why it is, because it's a reason why, and it's because
Well,
we've
since
been
y'all don't
taught.
care about the reasons, when it come down to what is really going on, fuck the reasons. We got to get to the solution. So we know we come from slavery. We know that we on the bottom of the totem pole. We know all of this, but why don't we have the thirst to to think?
Well, why do you what would you think? What would you hypothesize?
I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons, but I guess I shouldn't have ended it on a question because it's just time to really think about critically think. Forget the reasons. Now that we know we're not critically thinking, then we should do it. Once you know better, do better.
Yeah, well, I would say that you have to know the reason in order to, like he said on the last show or one of the previous shows, you have to know that there's a sickness in order to address it.
To
So you
know,
have to know that there's a reason, because if it was just because of inferiority and
I don't
intrinsic
think she was saying
inferiority.
that, and
No, I
I'm
know,
not.
I know,
Yeah,
I know. I'm saying that you have to know the reason, because otherwise it could
yeah.
just
It's
be
definitely
dismissed
not
as,
inferiority.
and people can just give up on the idea of helping these people, or helping yourself, or helping your people in this case. So
Got you.
teaching them what their problem is, telling them what their problem is, why it's not good to be this way, and then showing them the way to be, the way they have to adjust in order to get to where they can be competitive in these environments.
I like that. But it's kind of like, the attitude is kind of like the same attitude men have with women. It's like y'all should figure it out. Figure it the fuck out. Whatever your issue is, straighten it up. or get left behind. So,
Yeah,
that's
it's a, yeah, I think it's a more difficult. I think it's more difficult with the women thing, just because. Well, it's both. They're both. Yeah, they're both pretty difficult actually. Difficult things to overcome as far as how you approach life, how you approach your conditioning. You know, how you question your conditioning. But
that's
you have
right.
to like reflect and see if the way that you've been programmed is serving you or not, and then going taking it seriously enough and acknowledging it as as much of a problem that you would be willing to do the difficult work that it takes to and deprogram yourself. But that's not
Mhm.
an easy thing to do either. It's very uncomfortable and it's very sacrificial. Your life is going to be more uncomfortable before it gets. It's going to get worse before it gets better when you're in that reprogramming stage.
Most definitely. Yeah, reprogramming is well, people don't want to get out of their comfort zone.
Right, and yeah,
So
especially when they're not when it's work when it's you know, then you learn how to cope with it and you're dealing with you're okay with it already.
yeah,
You
true
know,
that. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, you're like, I've gotten through it this far. I've lived this far.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. For working out for me, all right. You know,
All right, I'm trying to find one more clip.
and really, it's the people that are doing all right that's going to be the hardest ones to get on board with the
Oh
mission.
yeah. Mhm.
Because the people that are having a hard time, it's not they're ready for some change, you know.
Mhm.
But we need everybody though. It can't just be the bottom feeders. That's where it gets difficult.
Not the bottom feeders. Okay.
Tell a woman, a 6-figure woman, that she needs to go back into the crib, you know. Like hell no,
Quit her
I
job.
done came too far. Yeah, she's a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever.
Maybe that's not what she needs to do then.
Yeah, but it's gonna be hard to convince her to give up everything she's worked so hard for.
And we convincing her to do that. Why?
Well, I'm saying I'm using it as an example of a person that's doing okay
Mhm.
within the system to give up what they got in order to get on board with the bigger picture. It's going to be
Mhm.
a very difficult thing, you know, and it won't make her have a better life, honestly, her
Right. You gotta
individually.
push the people who are not doing okay.
Yeah, well, I'm saying it's going to be a sacrifice. That's why it's such a difficult thing because some people are going to have to sacrifice some things, you know, and those are the most important people, the most influential people are going to be the ones that give the most resistance.
I'm just wondering why. Maybe I wasn't listening, but why is it a sacrifice?
It would be a sacrifice for a woman that's making a lot of money to unplug from that
I know,
for
but
the great.
why is that the option? That's what I'm trying to get to. How is that the solution?
If we all because if we all move together for a common goal, some people it's going to be better for some people in the short term, and it's going to be worse for some people in the short term. And what I'm insinuating is that we need everybody, not just the ones that are struggling. We need the people that are thriving as well.
Right, but if we're responding to what the Oracle said in the video about, if that's what you're talking about using your critical thinking, and the people that are using their critical thinking is getting further ahead than the people that are not, and the people that are not is us,
Yeah,
right?
we're talking about. Yeah, I was using it as
A
we
metaphor.
kind of we were talking about black
Men,
people as far as economically and competing in the workforce, and then we shifted into the what we're doing the same thing as far as being dismissive or giving up on the woman because of her ways. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So if you're asking black some for some black people in that situation when they're doing good, we're not going to want to shift their thinking because it's been working for, I mean, they're not going to want to shift their thinking because
If they're
it's working
doing
for
good,
them,
we need to
especially if you're
shift
the
to their thinking.
exceptional niggas.
But if they're doing good, then we need to shift to their thinking. They don't have to shift to our thinking. We're the ones thinking wrong. So if they're
Right.
doing good, we need to shift.
So in that sense, it really doesn't, it doesn't it doesn't serve an immediate benefit for a person that's operating good and that's thinking for themselves to want to double back and try to help other people get on their level and compete with them. You know what I'm saying?
I
And
hear
those are
it.
the people that we need to help. Those are the people that we need to help the people that aren't thinking the right way. But they're not going to want to do that. They're not going to be incentivized to do that as much. That's why and I was correlating with how it's difficult with both things. And I was trying to say it's more difficult for the women thing at first, but then I'm like, yeah, it's really very difficult for both things, probably equally as difficult and equally as easy to just say, fuck them, just give up on them, you know? That was a lot of goddamn words. The more words we use, the more confusing it gets. So I'm going to try
No,
to work on that.
I got you. I was just trying to think of a rebuttal, but I'm gonna leave it at there. I don't have a rebuttal. Not that I can express at this moment. So I'm gonna leave it on those thoughts, unless you have some thoughts unique.
Not really. I was just listening.
He just shut us down. No face, you cooking. You shut us down. You done scrambled my
I think
brain.
we wasn't even debating though. We
Yeah,
was
we
all on the
wasn't
same page, I
debating, but
think.
my brain is
I just actually don't understand
done.
your type of like I don't know, cause it seems like you kind of relate to No Face in in some way, but like yeah, I don't like relate to your energy at all. Like I don't even like the whole like yeah, I don't even like relate to. I be trying to like grasp onto it. Then sometimes like when I've tried to engage you in conversations, you're like, oh, unique, you just don't get it. So I just be quiet.
Oh, see, that's why I kind of got that impression too because you
I
didn't.
didn't even say you saw.
But go ahead and what is it?
When I try to delve deep into what you're saying and get an understanding, you're just like, oh, you're not gonna get it, but then you can't really explain what you're saying, so I don't know what to say.
Yeah, when you said that, well, elaborate more if you want to. As far as you're saying that you feel like Nico gets it a little bit, but you don't resonate with the energy. What do you?
Well, I mean, when you guys are having a conversation and Cole's like, yeah, see, I kind of, and in my mind, I'm like, I don't get it. So that's why I'm just like listening to you guys' conversation, and it's still like, it doesn't really seem to like go anywhere. I am, I am, I am listening to what you guys are saying, but I'm like, we're back at square one. Like we're back where we started. Like it
Yeah, we
doesn't.
always gonna get back at square one. We never end with a resolution per se. We just have
Yeah, I
issues.
was being really cryptic with what I was saying too. So maybe Nico didn't understand. Maybe a lot of listeners didn't quite grasp it either. What I was saying.
I kind of grasp, but I got the correlation. You were
Yeah,
correlating.
the point that I was making was that pertaining to what the oracle was referring to as far as people not thinking and what it would take to like reverse that culture and what it would take to help get out of that that place of being obedient and not being not critically thinking and just going with the
I
flow
don't
instead of
know. Like for instance, see, like what you just said right now, right? You're saying that there's a part of our culture, right, that doesn't think, but there's also part of our culture, a culture that's trying to control what people think. So you already have a conflict right there, right? If the people who you want to think critically are being controlled by the people who want to control their thoughts and their critical thinking, you already gonna like you're gonna just like run into a wall, because there's a big control factor there, right? If we're having a conversation and I'm trying to gain an understanding and I'm asking certain things, and you feel like I'm not getting it or whatever like that, and this just doesn't seem like it goes anywhere. seems like more of a like a control thing. Because I'm a very big advocate of in everything that you get, you should be able to at least get an understanding, of where the person's actually like coming from. If I don't understand where you're coming from, then I'm not gonna even want to like go where you're trying to go, like get to where you're trying to go if I don't even understand. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. When I was talking about the culture too, I was talking about black people, right? We're all on the same page there. So
Well,
I
even
wasn't
in
saying that
terms of,
black people were trying
even
to.
when we're talking about black people, right? In the culture of black people, right? Because we're not all getting along, right? We're all You're saying we're all a part of like this whole matrix thing, right? And there's some of us who are benefiting from it, and then some of us who are not. Well, because what ends up happening in that situation is it don't even have nothing to do with your race now, right? Now is, for lack of a better term, now it's like a class thing,
Yep.
you know. If it, and then you have the whole, there's gatekeepers, right? Because for instance, a lot of times I'll hear people like black people like talk about racism, and to me it just seems so weird to me because I'm thinking, when I'm looking, I'm like, is this seems like you are in love with white people. And I tell that to Cole too all the time. They'll talk about racism, and and it's like they be so in love with white people. So I'll be thinking, why are we like talking about this? Like, it's like I don't. That's why I be saying I don't understand where you're coming from with that.
Well,
You
you're not
know.
talking about me where I'm coming from, right? Because I didn't say that.
Well, I was just saying when you
But
were referencing, right, you were saying 'cause there are some people, right, who are doing well. They're the black people who are doing well. They don't see anything wrong. They're doing fine.
right, and
They're
they're and they're
necessarily
But
like
they
for
do see something wrong. Just because they're doing fine, they know that other people aren't doing fine. They know the black community overall is not doing well.
I
They
yeah,
know
and they
know
don't
that
have an incentive to help them either, because they
that's what I'm
especially
saying.
you'd have to, yeah, you'd
because
have to acknowledge,
they know that the
yeah,
mindset is not going to change. What the help that they can offer is already available to all of us. Keep it real. We
well, not
want the help. We want the financial help. We want the money. But they're like, go invest in yourself. Go learn. Go take a course. Go do this. Go do that. And they're like, that's free. It's online. It's everywhere. So that's the kind of
yeah,
help they'll mentor you. You know what I mean? They'll give you some help, but you got to have the initiative and the will to want to do it. And they not go invest in somebody that ain't got that already.
yeah. When there's no ROI, when the ROI doesn't seem like it makes sense to them, they won't. They're not going to take. They're not going to sacrifice, because it takes a business mind, or it takes a like a it takes a the mind that helps you make money. It's not, it has nothing to do. It's actually counter to the mind that wants to help other people.
I can
So
believe that.
the ones that are thriving and succeeding in this climate aren't
Don't want to help.
necessarily the ones that are going to double back and help you.
That's true.
That's not how they got where they got.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, I
that's
don't
what
know.
I
I
was
mean,
gonna.
to a certain extent, I
That's a
don't
good point.
necessarily like think that that's like a super big problem because no matter where you're at in your life, right, you can always come out of it, right? They always say it's never too late. You can always make certain moves, change your mindset, learn a new trade, learn how to do different things. You know what I'm saying? And you can prosper at any point in your life. So I don't really think that that's um, the a thing where like the big issue. I don't think that per se is the big issue.
No,
You
I
don't
don't
think
think it's the. Man, I wasn't presenting it like it was the end all be all. I was just referring to how the ones that can don't, and the ones that would can't. You know, it
Well, I
keeps
mean,
us in this.
I don't think that people necessarily. I mean, people have people have their free will. People don't necessarily have to do that. That's why I said, especially now, right? Because this is like the information generation. You can. There's a lot of different ways to make money and prosper and things like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
but it ain't the money that the Oracle was talking about. It's the
that's what I'm
thinking.
saying. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's the point that
Right.
I'm saying. Yeah, it's not
'Cause a lot
really.
of
I
Stupid
think.
people make money.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
like Elon.
Don't get Unique started. Please. Don't get her started.
Well, and this is exactly the point that I'm talking about. This is exactly, and that's why I say it always leads back to this, right? A person is successful, and I mean, regardless of to what you think about him, right? Because like you know good and well, Elon don't give a damn what you think. So I mean, like you know, he's like a super billionaire, like that's why it's always like that's why I always find that like so crazy, like that's why I be liking to stick to where we are personally at, because when you start getting into to these arenas when you're trying to like say something about somebody who's like so way surpassed you, you know, I don't.
I wouldn't say that. I don't know why. I wouldn't say that he way surpassed me because I don't correlate money with whatever you're saying. If you're saying he surpassed me in money, he was born. Like he was born with that. I don't
Well,
think he surpassed me. I don't have that. I don't have that feeling, and I don't think that the. Then this is a good example or a good. I'll say example because I can't think of a better, more appropriate word. When we're talking about when the oracle's talking about those people that aren't thinking right, I don't associate that with them being less worthy or being inferior or deserving less. In just the same way, I wouldn't think of a person like Elon that's this mega billionaire, as you refer to him as being better or
no, it's
smarter or anything.
not what I refer to him as. That's what he is.
Well, you're saying that, yeah. Like, I don't see him as that. I don't think that's what he is. He's not. He is
Well,
not that to me.
see, this is exactly when we talk about different relationships, toxicity, and different things like that. Because now it's almost like people live in like different realities. Because like
But
when I
do you understand what I'm saying, though? As I'm
no,
saying, I don't correlate just because you have this or you don't have that. I don't put the value or the potential or the worthiness of that person based off of the tangible things that they have access to or whatever image is created around them.
I don't think that we're talking about like his worthiness, right? Because whether you think that he's worthy or not, that's I mean, he has that. He's done all those things. Whether we would deem him worthy or not, whether he's worthy of it or not, that's
Well, just look at, okay, I think he means it like this. Like, what if just you as a person and Elon Musk, you guys are in the same room. You don't think he's any better than you. Like, you guys
no
are standing next to each other. You
right,
and he might be Elon, and the paparazzi might be on him and asking him questions, but just how you feel as a person, he's just another person,
right,
right? I
yeah,
think that's what NoFace trying to say. He's just another person. He got more, but I don't feel like he know better than me.
Yeah,
no.
I don't feel like he's smarter than me. I don't feel like he surpassed me in any type of way.
Well,
Um,
I mean, he just because a
Oh,
person,
well, he would have to if
I
we're
mean,
talking in order for him to surpass me. And I know we're talking about money, so let's not shy away from that. He
well,
would have to
status.
have been.
Status. We're talking about
He
status.
would have had to been. He would have had to been behind me at certain point to surpass
Like
me.
that. I like that. I like that.
I don't get it.
I like that.
Let's do. Yo, we can chop it up more. We can chop it up more offline.
Yeah.
He was behind
Yeah.
you. He was behind you when?
We,
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
we gonna wrap it up here. We are an hour and 13 minutes, and we can go on all night. Now I got more clips to share, so we'll do it another time. But I think we've done enough for tonight. We had enough discussion. I appreciate both of you guys for joining me. It was a great discussion.
Appreciate you.
Yep. You guys, we are out. Have a good night.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.